All right, guys, I'm going to show you how to do V5 test bed exercise 2. So in order to find the assignment, you'll need to go to the modules section of Canvas and click on V5 test bed exercise 2. This will give you the directions for the assignment. So here's what your program needs to do. After the bump switch is pressed, motor 1 runs at 60% velocity and the LED turns on. After the bump switch is pressed again, motor 1 stops and motor 2 starts also at 60% velocity. The LED stays on. And number 3, after the bump switch is pressed a third time, motor 2 stops and the LED turns off. All right, so the bump switch is the one that looks like a button. And it will be plugged into the end of the brain where the letters are at. Now, if you've plugged it in to the correct spot, according to the video from last week, it should be plugged into letter A. So we're going to go here to the VEX V5, and we need to tell the brain where everything's plugged in again. So we're going to click this icon right here, add a device, and we're going to go ahead and add in our motors. We've got a motor in 1 and a motor in port 2. Okay, now we're going to add in the bump switch. We also have a light switch, a limit switch, a light sensor, and a color sensor, but we're not going to worry about putting those in right now because we're not going to use them for this assignment. So we're just going to add in the bump switch. So we're going to click Add Device. Now for this one, you have to scroll all the way down here and find 3 wire, and you're going to click this icon right here. And then it calls it a bumper on the menu. I've always called it a bump switch, and that's what's printed on there, but the V5 calls it a bumper, so that's what you would click, bumper, right there. And like I said in the video that shows you how to connect everything, it should be plugged into port A, so we're going to click A, and done. Okay, so we've got our motor 1, motor 2, bumper. Now we need our LED light, so we're going to go to Add a Device, scroll down to 3 wire again. 3 wires, we're going to find everything that plugs into a letter. So the LED, the limit switch, the light sensor are all in here. So we find the LED, click that. The video tells you that the LED should be plugged into port D. So we're going to click D. And now we've got everything we need. So I'm going to click the little triangle here to make that part go away. And we are ready to write our code. All right, I'm going to go back to the code screen to check what the first step is. After the bump switch is pressed, motor 1 runs at 60% velocity and the LED turns on. All right, so we got to break this down. Bump switch is pressed. That's the first thing that's going to happen because it says after the bump switch is pressed. So the very first thing we need to happen is pressing the bump switch. So the way we set that up in our blocks code is we're going to click on Control and find wait until right here and put that in our code. All right, so wait until what? That's what this little hexagon shape needs to be filled with, is what is the robot waiting for? So we're going to click on Sensing. Now you'll notice in Sensing, some of these blue things have curved ends and some of them have triangle ends. So anything with a triangle end can fit in this shape with a triangle end. Anything with a curved end will not fit. So if I show timer in seconds, I cannot put that into my code, and not in that part at least. But if I wanted to do screen pressed, I hold it here, and when that shape turns white with that white halo around it, let go, and it goes into my code. Now I don't want screen press, so I'm going to go ahead and click that and take it out, but just showing you anything with a triangle end can be put into that box. So what are we looking for? We're looking for the bumper or the bump switch to be pressed. So that's what we want right here. Bumper A, pressed. We've only got one bumper, so we don't need to worry about changing that. We're just going to click on it, drag it over here, wait till that halo appears, and then drop it in there. So the code says we're going to wait until the bump is pressed. All right, what's going to happen after the bump is pressed? Motor 1 runs at 60% velocity. All right, so I'm going to find motor 1 up here to motion, spin motor 1. All right, and we want to set the velocity to 60%. Actually, we want to do that before we spin the motor. We would need to set the velocity before it starts spinning. Wouldn't make any sense to set it after it's spinning. So we want to make sure the set is first. So we're going to set it to 60% and spin forward. And the LED turns on. All right, to turn on the LED, we go to we go to sensing, and wait, is that it? Well, all right, sorry about that. I forgot where the LED turn on was. It's in purple here, looks. So we're going to scroll down here and find set LED. So we're going to move that into our code. LED, it says D twice because it's plugged into port D, and then we want it to turn on. All right, so that is step 1. We're going to press the bump switch. The motor is going to set to 60% velocity. It's going to run, and the LED is going to turn on. Now we're not going to use a wait command for this one, at least not a timed wait command, because we don't want it to just run for a certain amount of time. We want it to keep running until the bump switch is pressed again. Number 2, after the bump switch is pressed again, motor 1 stops. Motor 2 starts also at 60% velocity, but the LED stays on. All right, so what's next? After the bump switch is pressed again, so you would use another block in the control, wait until, all right, down to sensing, you're going to find bump switch pressed. And then I'm not going to show you how to do every single step from here on out, but you're going to need to stop the motor, start motor 2, and set it to 60% velocity. The LED stays on. You don't need to do anything to that because the LED is already on. So there's no code to stay on. It just stays on until you tell it to turn off. So then you're going to use another wait until bump switch is pressed, and then stop motor 2 and turn the LED off. So to turn the LED off, you would use this same purple command. You would just switch this to off. All right, so once you have all those steps accomplished, you're going to make sure you test the code to make sure that it's working correctly, and then raise your hand and let Mr. Reese know so that he can come by and give you credit for it.